You'll spend 80,000 hours at work. You're here because you want those hours to count. Hi, I'm Zoë Schofield.
And I'm Erica Sosner. A warm welcome to the Career Equation podcast. On this podcast, we take time out from our award-winning careers consultancy to share a game-changing formula to help you solve the sum of your life.
Each week, we and our guests use the Career Equation to explore their story so far and help them unlock the secrets of a fulfilling career. Welcome, everybody. I'm absolutely delighted to be joining you for this week's podcast and to be joined by the wonderful Annelies Kleyweg, who is the owner and gites executive officer of Le Moulin de Clapier, a stunning mansion with gite accommodation for those of you wanting to go on holiday in the beautiful Dordogne area of France. And that's having made a massive career shift from doing program management and leadership roles within the corporate environment. So I know I'm really excited to hear more about that adventure from Annelies. So welcome, Annelies.
Hi, thank you.
I'd love to kind of just hear about a day in the life of Annelies, having made such a career shift.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Well, my daily life really has changed. Besides being the host of the 3 year gites, we also renovating a big mansion. So all new kinds of skills pop up every day. You are a plumber, you are a manager, you are a planner, you are a carpenter, all at the same time. And learning a new culture, a new language, meeting new people, it's one big adventure in that case. In comparisons to what I did before, it's totally different. For the first time in my life, being my own boss, together with my husband. But who's the boss then, right? But the freedom you get with that, it's unbelievable. It's so worth it, to be honest. And that's comparing to all the management roles I had before, which were challenging also in a different way, different hectic, different dynamics. I feel that I'm now more relaxed than ever. Before, I always wanted to be financially stable. That was for me a driver. And then throwing that all away just for a big adventure in France.
Notice here how Annelies is really acknowledging how what matters most to her has shifted over time. Previously really valuing the sort of pacey, challenging and demanding corporate life and financial stability, but now much more valuing the freedom, the autonomy and the adventure that owning her own business and creating a new life in France is bringing. So why not take a little bit of time yourself to think about what matters most to you right now? How would you define success? And how would you measure that success? I got this real sense from you then about actually just letting go. So just so we understand, when did you make the move?
Yeah, a bit. We moved to France March last year, so it's been 1.5 years now. COVID definitely played a role in that, but on a holiday in Canada changed a lot for us because we stayed there with a lady who had also gites, and she lost her husband during COVID, and she was selling the place, and we were just, as we stayed there, kind of fantasizing what we would do with the place and what we would change, etc. So when we came back from holiday, we were just, wow, why don't we go do that, right? We don't have any children. We didn't any other important connection besides family or stuff, and friends, but you keep on in touch with them anyway. And we said, if we don't do it now, we will never do it. And so we just packed up, sold our house and went. Yeah, really strange. But wow. And everybody said we were crazy, but we said, well, you can't fail, right? If you don't make it, it's not a failure. At least we tried.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'm certainly excited to explore more of this with you and what your sort of story so far did to help you make that kind of change, if you like, and stepping into something new, a new adventure. How did you know that it was the right time and this was the right thing? You know, this was the right property or the right region for us to move? I'd love to know a little bit more about that.
Oh, okay. I think the right moment was that my husband quit his job. I think a year before. He was in a job for 25 years, wasn't happy at all, and he finally made the decision, I'm going to quit. So that was kind of a milestone, and he felt so relieved. And So he did all kinds of lovely things during COVID, and I was just working. And at that point in time, I was working in a company that I joined quite recently, but that didn't feel that I could have the impact that I wanted to reach. So that started me thinking, why do I have this job? What gives me energy? And I think working from home for a long time already, not being able to participate or connect to my new colleagues really well, made the decision maybe to change a bit easier. So for me, it was all about energy. I had to put lots of energy into it and didn't get any back. We were searching for something that gave us new energy.
So really difficult, I think, to make connections and feel fit in an organization when you're not in a normal working environment. That's really challenging. And I think we've all had to adjust to that, haven't we, in terms of find ways to re-energize ourselves when we're sat talking to people through a camera rather than perhaps being in an office. So I guess what was happening for your husband in terms of that freedom and that kind of new energy that he was getting from that, to think like, I want a piece of that too.
Yeah, but also I got a beautiful part back from him, right? That I maybe lost along the way.
Yeah.
He's a beekeeper, so he started to attend that more, and he really saw his passion emerge. And I was just, oh my God, I haven't seen this side from him for a long time. Wow. And so happy for him. And a bit jealous of that as well.
If this is doing this for him, what could it do for me? You know, what's the sort of almost like the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle that has gone from me that I need to find and bring back? Fabulous. So what, if you were going to give advice to someone else who was contemplating a huge career shift or a change or a life change, is there any advice you'd give them?
I would say if you get the chance, just do it, because there is no failure, right? So we just said, okay, well, other people might think you're failed, but they didn't do it. So it's easy to say afterwards, oh, you failed, blah, blah, blah. But we did it. And it's not a shame to say, okay, we tried and we try something else again. And if you're dreaming about something, following your passion or following a dream, I think grab it, because life is short. And you never know what's on the other side, which might even enrich your life even more than you would expect it. So, yeah, that would be my advice. Just go for it.
I'm with you on that. You know, it's not about failure. It's about growth. Even if things don't work out how you expected them to, you've changed as a person from when you stepped out on the journey. And there's learning in that, isn't there? Rather than just seeing something as a failure.
No, I think it's the same with every career step you do, right? I also stepped into jobs where I thought, okay, this might not fit really, but you take away something from it and into your next step and you learn from it. And I think I looked at that since also the career equation helped there to look at it like that, right?
Absolutely. And I suppose there's a nice point to sort of share with our listeners when you came on the coaching accreditation program that Erica and I run and took your coaching qualification with us for career coaching. And I'm curious to know if that actually did end up helping you make some of those sort of decisions about what is it I want to do next.
Yeah, I definitely think so, because you're thinking about it, right? You think about, okay, what is my passion? Where do I get my energy from? And sometimes you don't realize it. So talking about it and really pinpointing or writing it down, it makes it real, and not being a victim, right? You're the boss of your own career, so you're responsible for a next step or whatever it is. And but also reflect on yourself. Okay, I got stuck in a certain situation that I don't like. What could I have done to change it, right? So to really reflect on your own personality and why something escalated or why it didn't work, and that really, really helps with everything I do still daily. I think it changed me as a person also.
A great tip here from Annelies about the passion element of the career equation. Really taking time to think about and pinpoint, even write down what gives you energy. What are the subjects, topics, industries that you're really curious about? What do you love to be immersed in? What can't you help but be? What can't you help but do? Is there a sort of next frontier to be thinking about that you want to solve next? Is there anything that's live for you at the moment?
You're kind of in hospitality. I never done that before. Of course, you can be kind to guests, but you also need to be business. They're not always your friends. You like them to be, but if they don't pay, you need to step up. And so that's a challenge, the balance between playing it nice and playing it business-like. So how can you keep that balance? Because it's really special that people come and spend their holiday on your property. So that's a bit of a challenge on a day-to-day basis, to be honest. Yeah, you learn from the things that don't go well.
Yeah, you've moved to a new country. I know you're learning the language.
Our French teacher lives a long time in the UK and America, so she speaks English very well. So that helps. She's also always willing to help. And so that's how our own community is growing. But also the guests that we get a kind of 50% Dutch people and French people. So the French are really so kind. You can ask them anything. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And I think what really stands out for me there is that whilst the business itself is you and your husband running it, I'm getting this real sense of a growing community around you that sort of will continue to support. I guess it would help if I shared with our listeners and those watching a reminder for those who are joining us new what the career equation is. It's a kind of word equation, really, that helps us understand and gain clarity on what the 4 key components are of a thriving career. So when we look at what we want to achieve, we can gain that clarity through a nice, simple lens, if you like. So what the career equation says is that if you take your skills, so the strengths and things that you're really good at, and you apply them to an area of passion, so a subject, a topic, an industry, a way of being that you love does matter to you, and you can apply those skills and that passion and have an impact. So it's skills plus passion plus impact. So you're making a difference in a way that matters to you, that is how you define success for your life. Then you're on the way to a thriving career. But importantly, there's a 4th component, and that's environmental fit. And that speaks to the environment that you need in order to thrive. And so in the environmental fit, we're talking about things like the location, the people, the values of an organization or of a business, the freedom, the autonomy, the rules, the regulations, all sorts of things go into that environment. So if you get the skills right, you apply it to an area of passion, you have an impact that matters to you, and you're in an environment where you can thrive, then you're on a road to a thriving career. And so what I'd love to do is explore those 4 key moments through the lens of those elements of the career equation and just see where we get to. Are you up for that? Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so let's dive in. So younger Annelies, when did you discover your sort of first, God, I'm really good at that?
What's real a talent? So I discovered that, for example, that I could communicate with all sorts of people, even when I was really young. My grandfather was a grumpy old man and not communicating really well. And my mom, it was her father. So they always kind of collide. And I could say the same thing, but with different words, even when I was 6 or 7 years old. And he would just say, oh, okay. Now I understand. Yeah, that's fine. And he just interacted really differently with me in my way of communicating, perhaps, and he receiving the message differently. So I think that's where it all started, with the communication and being able to communicate with all sorts of people, right? Angry people, people that misunderstand you, or people that don't listen, or whatever. So that's kind of what I discovered quite early. And being the youngest of 3, I have 2 older brothers. I was always observing, right? You're always kind of being left out. The age difference is 8 and 5 years. So they did things together and I was always on my own, but always observing what I did like, didn't like, etc. And I think that's still a skill that helps me today. Just step back a little bit, see what's happening, and then come to a conclusion or say something, or really look at people's behavior. And I sometimes even notice that the power of silence, just saying nothing, just observing, helps clarify some situations.
Well, yeah. I can imagine, was your mum sort of in awe of your talent to be able to communicate so well with her grumpy father?
I think so, but she couldn't understand what it was because she thought she said the same thing. But maybe, the interpretation, or maybe I don't know what it is, but it's something, maybe it's also body language, right? It's 90% body language that gives a different energy. My mom sometimes said, you just go say this and this to him and then it will be fine. So she used me also in that perspective.
You're already the peacekeeper and the mediator at such a young age. But no, I hear that.
Such
It's
a young
that kind
age.
of it is that ability to change the dynamic in a situation by using your body language, your listening skills. And it isn't just about the words, is it, in terms of what you say, but the how you say it, how you come across, how you make them feel in the room. You know, and that's the rest of your family, I'm sure, as well. And I kind of wonder, what does that say to you?
Listening is something you now really need to do because you don't speak the language. So you ask the people, okay, can you please slow down? And I try to understand, and then I can come up with an answer. So that's a challenge on a daily basis. And just step back and say, okay, this is happening. What do you expect from me? And then they need to come up with a solution. So you change the dynamic quite quickly. And I think I learned that, especially being a manager, where you get, of course, when you have these end of year conversations, etc., and nobody's happy all the time. You're not happy. You're the only one who can change it.
It is about stepping back, hearing what the problem is, but letting them come up with those solutions. And that's very much a kind of coaching ethos, isn't it? I don't have the answer for you, but I can help you explore, and we can talk, and I can listen. And that sounds like that stays with you into the new business as well, because the customers, the client, you want them to feel heard. So let's think about, from a passion point of view then, taking you back to a memory in your life where you were absolutely in the moment of loving what you were doing.
My first management role, I worked with a software company. I've been working before in the insurance industry for a long time, and I made a move to IT, so that was really quite exciting. And I worked there for a year, and they asked me to become manager of my own department. It was the testing department at that point in time. And I always held back on those roles before because I think maybe I simply wasn't ready, or I was just all the hassle of managing people. I don't want that. I think I learned my basics and what drives me in that particular role. And the company giving me the opportunity to be an inexperienced manager and still run a department of, I think, 30 people or something. And they had the confidence in me that I could do it because maybe of my skills of what they observed myself. But it's also, I quickly noticed that whatever you bring in as a person and how you react to people, you get back. Right? So I always say if you throw something in the room and they don't like it, they throw it 30 times harder back to you. So it's like looking into a mirror. So I think my first half year as a manager, I learned more about myself on how I come across to people, but also the impact you have on people's personal life as a manager. That always really stuck with me, that you can make or break a day of somebody. He or she comes home and has a bad day because of you or something that you said, right? So you have a really big impact on people. And noticing that made me, I think, also for the first time really reflect on myself. So what is my behavior influencing others, right? If you really want to push something, and sometimes you do have to push something because it's policy or whatever, but then you can still explain why. And if you then still listen to whatever arguments that pop up and you say, okay, I really hear that really stuck with me for my first management job. And I think that changed me as a person a lot as well.
Such a lovely reflection here from Annelies about how she really grew as a manager by recognising the impact that she had on the whole life of others, not just them when they were at work, but also what they may take home too. Really wanting her style and energy to be a positive experience for those that she led. So when it comes to the equation, this sits in the environment element. Your leadership and management style has a direct impact on the environment that they are experiencing. I'd invite you to take a little bit of time to think about the environmental conditions that you are creating. Are there things that you could do, that you could tweak to make the environment even better for them?
It sounds like a real period of growth for you personally. Becoming a manager doesn't mean to say that you've got to have the answers. It's about the impact that you can have on all the people that are around you and the ripple effect. I think that's what really came through for me then. The ripple effect of your impact on those immediately around you, on those around them, and their outside lives, their family, and how you want the ripples to be good ripples. Yeah.
If you give it the energy back, right, they get energized as well. And I think then you have a win-win situation, and they go home positive and they come back the next day positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's why I love the equation, because it's simple and it makes sense when you know it. I can remember conversations in my early career where I couldn't fix things for people. I couldn't make them love the job if the job was the job. I mean, I could do everything I could, but sometimes it is the honesty of like, this is the job and these are the things I can tweak and change, but the fundamentals I can't.
I have a beautiful example for that. There was this man on my department doing the job for 15 years or longer, I don't know. And he wasn't keeping up with the latest technology, etc. So we had a conversation and it was all about what was his passion. And he said, well, I love history. I do know what was in a book that I read 30 years ago, but I don't know what I coded yesterday. He said, that's for me the challenge. And we had a kind of an how do you call it? An offboarding that he found. He found another job, and he contacted me half a year later. He said it was the best conversation I could ever have because I really discovered my passion. And he was kind of happy that he was fired somehow. And that's really strange. And it's also the best example I have. It never happened afterward. But he noticed that I'm not happy. I'm doing the job and I need to pay my mortgage or whatever it is. But it's not where I get my energy from. I didn't know that it was kind of the career equation that I was already using. But actually finding, okay, why are you not happy? Was something totally different than the coding, the colleagues or whatever. So that was brilliant. Yeah. I loved it.
Wow, what a fabulous example, and what an amazing outcome for someone who took pleasure in it not being the right job and finding something else.
Notice here how, by having a really honest and exploratory conversation with the team member that was really clear about the elements of the role that were flexible, but also the non-negotiables, and importantly, explored what matters most to them, their passions, their talents, the things that they weren't so keen on, the things that they loved, led to a really highly valued outcome for all. Using the equation in your conversations can be a game changer for you and your employees.
So if we think about that kind of passion of helping people to grow, be at their best, the experience that they get, is it a similar experience wanting, for your guests, for those that come and stay?
Yeah, definitely. What are you going to do? Be transparent. So that's one of our, I think, biggest drives, that we want to be honest and transparent. Okay, well, we can't fix it right now, but we do our best and we keep you posted. People love to hear that instead of, okay, it's broken and then don't hear anything from you. I want to be updated. And if it's out in the open, it can't be used against you because you communicated about it.
If we think about the third element then of the equation, so the impact element, can you tell me about a time when you felt like you were making a difference in what you were seeing and experiencing and perhaps what others were seeing and experiencing? What comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think it's more an impact that I had on my own career, to be honest. I needed to hire people, make sure that the teams were fitted. And at that point in time, I wasn't a program manager yet, but I was the company hired another program manager, I think 3 weeks or something. He was, I think, fired or left, I don't know anymore. And then I took his job and my own job for, I think, half a year. And it was all running smoothly, so I made really long days and really long hours, but still kept everything, all the balls in the air, as to speak. And in the meantime, the company was recruiting for a new program manager. They came to me and said, might you consider this role? I said, now that might be really interesting, but then I also want the salary that comes with the role and the responsibility, etc. And they said, yeah, but you first need to try it and you don't have the same experience. And I don't have to take the job. I have a job here, so I'm happy to keep on doing that. And so it took a while, but then I had a conversation. Well, okay, we can offer you a big raise. It was, I think, the biggest raise I ever got in my career. But it was making an impact on me because for the first time in my life, I'm not a negotiator. I'm following my heart most of the time if the job feels good and I think it's fair. But the difference between, I got all my gray hairs because of that job, I think, but I learned so much there. Maybe I was a little bit selfish at that point in time, but it made an impact on who I was, to stand up for yourself, but maybe also to stand up for future women in the same position.
Fresh off the back of a women's sort of empowerment course, ready to take on the world. And what I'm hearing there is, again, that your impact was about authentically bringing you and stepping into what you truly believe in. And I wonder if that again plays out in the business that you're running now in terms of the impact that you have. Is there something about Annelies being true to what she believes in and all the things you've already talked about and the impact that you have on the people that come stay with you, but also on the community around you?
I think definitely. I think it's when you're your own boss, you can even practice what you preach even more, right? I'm not constricted about company rules or regulations or people that are in the role for 30 years and think they know it all, right? You're just discovering it yourself. And of course, we have a community where we have friends that also run a B&B or Sheets. But I also think you might learn from each other, but I'm always okay. Oh, sorry. And also it's funny that because of the different skill set you have as in our case, a husband and wife, sometimes he just can resolve situation more easy than I could and vice versa. I do get the tendency that if it's really, really difficult, I need to step in. So.
Oh, well, you did say you were good at problem solving along the lines.
Yeah.
So let's think a bit about, because this kind of leads us nicely actually to the fourth element. And I always think like this is so important, but often overlooked by people in terms of their ability to thrive in their work. So let's step into the environmental fit, and maybe it will be a bit more uncomfortable kind of memory. But tell me about a time when you felt like the environment was actively working against you doing your best work. Is there something that kind of comes to mind for you for that?
I worked for a French company. Working with the French and living in France is totally different things. Where I didn't thrive at all in that organization was the micromanagement stuff and all the procedure that there are the highest ranking officer needs to know the most detail. I don't believe that. So that was really working against me because I'm about empowering others to using their skills. Right? Why hire other people? Right? So if you know best, why would you hire an expert? So I always say, you're the expert in certain things. I'm an expert in other things. And that really worked against me because I couldn't take the responsibility that I always like to take. I couldn't empower people because they were afraid what the manager would say or the manager in line would say. I couldn't speak my mind really because there was always somebody hovering over me. That was really something I didn't feel energized about or empowered because, I like to explore my boundaries. So I might step a little bit over it and say, oh, oops, sorry, won't happen again. I now know what my playing field is. I need to have a bit of a playing field, otherwise I can't function. And the playing field there was so small that I said, okay, well, I can't do anything. I noticed, I think because of the career equation, that this environment might be the biggest impact in making you thrive. If you're not happy in the organization, doesn't mean that it's you or your skill set, or maybe it's just not a fit.
You talked about being micromanaged, and I kind of got this sense of this real rigidity and the sort of like almost claustrophobic because you were saying there was no space. I can remember you saying that weirdly when we did the training all that time ago. I could remember you talking about going off into new frontiers and trying things out and exploring and collaborating with people, and the sense of that freedom to do that.
The whole coloring of the color book, right? The lines might be there, but I still have the freedom to color whatever it wants. If I want to paint the sky purple, I can do so, right? Because it's my drawing.
It's your sky.
It's my sky. Yeah, I never felt so free as in the last year. And we did have a lot of challenges. It's not all good. But the energy of making your own decisions and creating and shaping and exploring together, that's giving us so much energy.
Brilliant. I wonder if we can bring together some of the insights from what we've been discussing today and create a new statement of intent, if you like. And we call this, as you'll remember, a career design statement. So it's a way of, when we've explored the equation, a way of kind of summarizing us when we're at our best, our thriving zone. So are you willing to give that a go?
Of course. Really
Brilliant.
Interesting.
I'm going to say some words and you're going to fill in the gaps. And I'll give you a little sort of food for thought for each of the gaps as we go along. But the first bit is super easy, which you know anyway, because it's just your name. So I'm going to say I, and you will say on. So I,
Annelies.
Brilliant. That's the first bit done. Will use my skills in And given our conversation, what 2 or 3 top skills or strengths do you really want in play as you continue on this journey?
I think the problem solving is still there and the listening part still. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So we'll use my skills in problem solving and listening. And my passion for?
That is kind of a passion, and maybe that's always been kind of a passion, but now it's also literally because we're renovating a house. But it's also still building the foundation of something new. So does that make sense? I had a colleague, we were comparing skills. She says, you always make sure there's a foundation. It's not visible, but without a foundation, you have nothing. So that was really cool to note. So maybe that's the building stuff that I like to lay down a good foundation for people to thrive in.
So the impact bit, what's the result that you want from your work, from what you do?
It's not about pleasing all people, but making them think about why they like things. In my case now, having a great holiday, making memories, looking back at a fun time, maybe people even coming back to us because of what we are, that we are relaxed, etc.
Yeah, so it's definitely about to create fun experiences, develop wonderful memories, and be part of that journey for your clients, for your customers. So what sits in the environment, which is the fundamental piece for you being at your best, for those things to come together?
The environment is relaxed, is open and honest. It's about reflecting. Yeah, in that kind of environment, I thrive best.
Okay, so let's go run that again. So I, Annelies, will use my skills in problem solving and listening, and my passion for creating foundations and building new things to create fun experiences and help clients make new memories. An environment that's relaxed, open, honest, and has space for reflection helps me to be at my best.
Sounds good. I like it.
Given what we've just read in terms of that design statement now, if you had to score yourself out of 10 in terms of living that now, that design statement, so problem solving and listening and building and creating foundations and building new things and fun experiences and people making memories and a relaxed, open, honest space for reflection, out of 10, how much are you living that at the moment?
I think 9.5, to be honest.
Wow. That's fabulous.
I never experienced it so closely as I think I do now. And it's because you can create your own scenario now, right? It's not a scenario where you step in and you need to adjust and maybe change here and there some wording, but it's a brand new scenario that you are creating. So there's no wrong or right. So I think that's what I think is the fun part, the shaping of the whole thing, building that structure.
How do we make people want to come to us and their expectations and that line? Does that design statement help you to continue to solve that conundrum?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at the reflection part, we always ask people just, is there something you would like to see different? Is there something that you didn't like? And you don't have to change it all on the spot, but you can take it with you and say, okay, is that for us? Is that something that we want to change? So I still think that really helps us, but also being curious, right? And I mentioned, I think in the beginning, I try to learn something every day, being curious of what's out there and how you can make it a change, or if you can make a change for the better, why wouldn't you do it, right?
I think you continue to be curious in the business. That's what I'm kind of hearing, curious about what's right for the business, what's right for you, your husband, customers, obviously. So that's one thing I kind of invite you to kind of reflect on. And also you said something really nice. You said doing small things to make people happy. And that feels like it is about those small things that you can do in the business that just tweak or change the experience, having listened to their feedback. So again, I think that's something that came out in what you were just reflecting there, which was really lovely, really spoke to, again, a thread that's been all the way through. Small things that you could do as a manager to make people happy. Small things you could do with grandpa to make him happy and less grumpy. Or there seems to be a common thread as well, not overcomplicating things.
This whole adventure has been one expedition and we don't know where it leads to, but it will lead to something good, right? Because we believe in it. Yeah, I think I live that to the utmost now, of course. And maybe that's why I feel so energetic at the moment, because of that freedom and not being stuck in that corporate world, which I loved for a long time. And I think people say, right, we needed to done this 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, I wasn't ready for this step. It's what you mentioned earlier. You grow into stuff and you kind of appreciate different things. If you're 20, you want to make a career, lots of money, big cars, whatever. And when you're getting older, you think that's not what is important. It's about people. It's about being loved. It's about exploring. It's about finding yourself. I think doing that on a daily basis is still discovering stuff about yourself, but also bringing it across to others, because we are here on this world for a short period of time. So what's your purpose on earth?
Brilliant. That's so great to hear. If you were looking back and you're having a conversation with young Annelies, maybe after she's just had a conversation with Grumpy Grandpa, who knows? But certainly when she was listening and observing, as she does so brilliantly, what message would you give young Annelies about her future in the world of work?
Oh, that's a good one. I think keep on challenging yourself. Stand up for yourself a bit more or a bit earlier than I did. So really stand up, okay, I can do this. I know I'm good at something. So let me do the other stuff, but maybe shine a bit more and take some credits. Yeah, that's, I think, what I would say to my younger self.
Yeah.
And
Lovely.
Be true to yourself.
Absolutely. And if people want to find out more about you, or certainly I'm sure people are going to want to be, I want to see what this place looks like, or where are these sheets? So tell us how, and we will make sure this goes into the show notes as well, but do tell us, how can people find you or find out more about the business?
Now, we have our own website. It's moulindeclapier.com. There's an overview of our sheets, and you get a bit of a view of the house and the garden, etc. We are on Instagram, the Moulin de Clapier. Of course, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can take a look there.
Brilliant. And I wish you every success with the business. I hope that one day maybe Erica and I can have a work retreat and come and visit you.
Thank you for inviting me and making me part of this again. It was really fun.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Career Equation podcast.
Stay connected with us on socials for more career insights, behind-the-scenes moments, and updates on upcoming episodes. And if you'd like to work with us, visit the Career Equation website or click the links in the show notes.
Remember, the Career Equation isn't just a podcast. It's a journey towards unlocking your full potential, enjoying your life, and doing remarkable stuff.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success.
And don't forget to share your thoughts and feedback with us. Your input shapes the future of our show.
Until next time, keep solving those career equations and pursuing your path to success. This is Erica Sosna
And Zoë Schofield. Signing off.